Hey everybody, welcome back to the 154th episode of Taps and Patience. I am AJ with Subtract Manufacturing and occasionally Audacity Micro, here with Harrison of Precision Ingenuity all the time. Hi Harrison.
How we doing?
I am okay.
Okay, just okay.
I am. Today was supposed to be a chill day, and then it wasn't a chill day, and I just finished my not chill day.
Gotcha.
But
fair enough.
I say sometimes Audacity's actually been fairly busy the last, 2 weeks or so. Maybe record in March. I'd have to check. I think it was a record in February, and we're probably going to hit a record in March. So not bad.
Our net 30 numbers are getting back up to realistic numbers, so I'm excited about that. So still don't have my production jobs up and running, but been getting in a lot of rush work, so that's been helping.
Not up and running because you just haven't had POs, or
a combination of things. Like one of them, they had electropolishing, and we've never done that before. Mm-hmm. And they had tumbling requirements, and at one point, but they took them off their print and didn't tell us. And they sent us some sample parts that we were trying to match, and we found out that they were stone washed, and we have to do the stone washing before electropolishing. And so all of the
I guess that makes sense.
All the first articles that we did, you could still see the machining marks. So we're having to redo all those. So that kind of sucks. And then on some of the other ones, I've had some parts that I've just been fighting, trying to get them right. And it's been mainly anodizing and tight tolerances and just making sure the anodizer is consistent in how he does his stuff. And so it's been a battle to try to tune my measurements to match what I should be expecting from him. And it makes things that are not normally super tight kind of tight, because I have to fit it into the range that it could be from him. So it's kind of a weird production anodizing headaches that I've never dealt with before on some somewhat tight tolerance features. Like, 2 thou is not a massively big tolerance, but it could be if your anodizer is adding a thou or two between I think it was like 0.6 to thou and a half to the wall thickness. And if you have a 2 thou hole, they basically, their tolerance range is almost the size of the hole once you add it to both sides of the part.
Yeah, you have process variation that you can't control.
Yeah, basically. And so I'm having to send like go, no-go gauges with the parts so the anodizers can check and make sure that they're doing their stuff right. And I don't really care what they do. The biggest thing is they have to be consistent with what they do.
Yeah.
And they said that they've run into this a few times in the past. And the problem is they're smaller diameter holes, and it makes it really hard for the liquids to get through and get a consistent layer thickness on small diameter holes.
Interesting.
So, at least with their particular process. I don't know. There might be some tricks or some things that you can do to make it more consistent, but I really like these anodizers. I don't really want to try to find a new vendor and go through all this headache again. So, we've been trying to work it out with them.
So, going back to the electropolishing tumbling thing, I want to hear more detail about that.
Yeah, so it's the first job we've ever had electropolished. And it also has tight tolerance features. So we have to machine things either over or undersized, depending on where they're located on the part. That way, when it removes material, it comes back in spec. And when we send the parts out to electropolishing, you can have your target in 0.2 increments, and then they have plus or minus 0.2 based off your target.
Okay. So you can say electropolish out 0.4 of material?
Yeah. And then it could be 0.2 to 0.6.
Okay.
Whenever you get it back. And so that's kind of how it works with them. So, and a lot of our features are like 0.8. So we only have about 0.4 of wiggle room, even though the features are 0.8 total.
Yeah.
because of outside processes. So
And so you tumble these and then you send them out for electropolish?
yeah.
What does that look like coming back? Is it just all shiny?
We ha-
Like does the
we haven't
tumbling
got
just to remove?
we haven't got them back since we've stone washed. We've only seen them.
Okay.
We saw them after we machined them, and they came back and they looked like they were chromed almost. But you could still see all the machining lines. Like it almost made them a little bit more visible because they became super reflective. And so we understand now why they did the stone wash. But they took that requirement off their print, which is kind of annoying. And instead they put a note on there that said no machining marks allowed.
Interesting. And it calls specifically for electropolishing?
Yes. So
electropolishing is one of those things that I've looked into bringing in-house before, and I might still do.
Yeah.
It requires some nasty chemicals, if I remember right, but otherwise isn't that complicated.
Yeah. So we're going to be... Their minimum that they can do is 2/10, and so we're trying to save the parts we did because we already had them electropolished and they were in spec, but now we're tumbling them and then having them re-electropolished, and we're hoping that they can do that without pushing us out of our upper limits on material removal. And these are the first articles. Otherwise, I got to remake them all, which is going to be a pain in the butt.
How many parts?
It's a 30 to 35 piece run. I think we did 35 pieces, but 30 is only required for the first article. We had a couple extra in there for testing and to keep on hand.
And are these blocks with holes or a little bit more complicated?
They're medical. They're a little bit more complicated. So this one kind of looks like what's a good way? A sailfish. Like it's got this really thin feature that kind of like comes up. You know what sailfish is? If I'm saying it right.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's got like this really thin, narrow feature in the center of it that comes up. And then it's kind of got like a body down below. And the body has a whole bunch of holes and things in it. But
interesting.
Mm-hmm. And so it's a 5-axis part. And then the other part I'm working on that's pretty complicated is it's a knob. It's the most complicated part I've run on the Lynx lathe. And I was working on it last week. Weston just got the CMM working on it. So now I got to try to get my dimensions in spec. So he can, because he's starting to measure all the critical features. And he had a hard time last week getting the CMM running to measure these. He had to order a custom stylist from Hexagon, and it's a little star probe, and the balls on it are 0.5 millimeter.
Okay.
And like the first one came in and it was damaged, and so they had to send him a second one because it's so fragile.
When you say custom, you mean just special ordered, or like this is designed for your part?
Special ordered. Like it's not something that they stock, I don't think. I think it's in their catalog. But it's just like this. It's a really tiny star probe that is like Weston's scared to breathe on it or it'll break. But you need it to get down into some of the features.
Yeah.
So, and it's so small that he had a hard time getting it calibrated because it kept shanking out on the machine whenever it would try to measure the ball. Like when on a CMM, like we can have like 6 different probes that we can pick up, and you'll have a tool ball basically that you measure against, and so you'll have your master probe that'll go measure the ball and it'll calibrate, and then everything else is referring to those 2 combinations of master ball and probe. And so whenever it would come to measure the other stylist, we had a really hard time dialing the settings where it wouldn't shank out because the balls were so small and stuck out such a short distance that when it tried to measure on that ball at the different elevations, it would crash.
Interesting.
And hopefully that makes sense, but
because so there's a
so I'll try to do it like this. Like you have a surface, and then you have your probe coming in like this, and it would go down, but because these are so short and sticking out, it would hit the arm holding the probe before it hit the balls
So the length of the arm on the end of your little star stylus is shorter than the radius of your ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like having a key seat cutter in a slot that's deeper than the key seat cutters.
Yeah, basically. Exactly like that.
Yeah.
And we were using AI and calling the guy and just trying to figure out how to get this thing to like adjust how, because like the problem that we were running into is that before it does the probing routine, it does a 4 touches that it has to do to locate the ball to make sure it's on the right location on the ball. And the bottom 2 touches were too low and they were not controlled. They were not a setting that we could adjust. They were like the pre probing before it does the calibration of the probe.
So how'd you fix it?
Weston spent like 3 days on it. And all I know is that he came out at the end of the day and said, the guy figured out what I needed to do and it's working now.
Okay. Well, good job, Hexagon support.
Yeah. But he was very frustrated for a couple days trying to figure that one out. So, but anyways, so we had that, and then me and Ben have been crushing it, making parts this week or last week. So we have a large order tomorrow and then another large order on Friday. So, and one of my customers wanted some more rush parts this week, so I might have more to add. But today I was at one point I was running 4 machines.
Nice.
So I was running the UMC, and it was doing job shop work, not with the robot. We were reloading in parts. I was using the VF, the SVM, and the Lynx lathe. And then Weston was using the ST15. So we had all 5 machines going at one point today. And at one point I was running 4 of them. But busy day. So, but it feels good because we had our slow slump earlier in the year, and where we only had like 1 or 2 machines running most of the time. So it's been feeling good to have all the machines kind of running.
From what I've heard, like manufacturing was a little bit slow at the beginning of the year, like it normally is, like in January. But over the last 6 weeks or so, everyone seems to be super busy. Yeah. And I can see that with Subtract. We actually haven't gotten a huge amount of orders for Subtract in the last like 2 weeks or so. But all of our shops are super busy. And I don't know where the work's coming from, but for some reason we are like American manufacturing seems to be really busy right now. I don't know if that's because of the war going on and like companies are getting more stuff from the US, or if, the shops that do government work are suddenly all focused on missiles. And so the shops that don't do government work are getting some of the work that the government work shops used to do, if that makes any sense at all. But I don't know. Everyone seems busy right now.
Yeah, I currently have around 6,000 parts on order. Just nice. looking at my ERP software real quick. So, which is kind of funny. That's not super busy for us. Like I've had much more in the past, so it's starting to go back up, which is nice.
I might make 6,000 parts in a year. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think today, between all the machines, let me just do some math real quick.
We need a math on a podcast?
Yeah, math on a podcast. Almost 50 parts today between all the machines. Nice. So
I did too.
Not a bad little. And it was 7 different parts. 8 different parts. So yeah, it was fun. At one point it feels like it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes the stars align where you can get a machine going, be working on programming the next part, and then keep another machine fed while setting up another one, and like you just kind of enter this flow state where you're never not doing something and you're never rushing, but you're just flowing. And that's what
where
today
you
was.
want to be. Yeah.
Like it was just like nothing felt rushed, nothing was super stressful. Everything was just kind of flowing from one thing to the next, and it was a lot of like work just getting done, and I really like that. So that doesn't happen a lot, but when the stars align and you have a day like that, it's a good day.
Yeah, I think it was on the Henry Holster shop tour where Andrew Henry said something along the lines of, "We like to keep the shop running like it's like we're traveling 35 miles an hour down the road," meaning like steady and with a good flow, but never really rushed.
Mm-hmm.
And I do enjoy those.
Yeah,
days like
that was really good, especially because last week we had some different parts that were supposed to be a lot quicker, ended up taking us a lot longer. And there was a lot of parts Ben was working on, and I don't blame him, because they ended up being a lot more challenging than we initially thought. But they were some plastic parts, and they were just a challenge because they were just thin and wanted to pop out of the vise. And we ended up vacuuming some of them down, and then ended up having some problems with those breaking seals and popping off. And so it was just a lot of learning that he needed to do, and I didn't have the time to handhold him through all of it. So
yeah,
I'd give him guidance, he'd follow my guidance, and then something would happen, and it was just
he
like,
would learn a lesson.
Now it's time to learn and try something else.
Yep.
So it felt good to kind of break that trend. What else? Ani, I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this on the podcast, but I guess I will. I did have an uncle pass away last week.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. And I will say I have been incredibly blessed thus far in life. This is the first major loss we've ever had to deal with. And yeah, it'll be tough. But we have a really big family. And everyone's kind of there for themselves. Everyone's kind of there to help each other out. And so we'll be okay. And it wasn't unknown that it was going to happen. It was a cancer, and it kind of been happening over the last 6 months. So it was bound to happen. He actually held on a lot longer than we thought he would, and we got to spend some good quality time with him before he ended up going. But definitely going to be tough. And what's really tough is that his funeral is the day after I've left for Japan.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm going to miss it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I did take out me and my cousin, whose dad passed away. We went out and watched Project Hail Mary over the weekend to kind of get his mind off of things, which is it's a good movie, but I forgot that there's like a death at the very beginning of the movie where he wakes up and there's two dead astronauts with him, and it's like
there's a couple deaths in that movie.
Yeah,
not the spoilers, but
yeah, and so it was. I think it was a little bit tough for some of those, but overall, he really enjoyed the movie, and I think it helped. But yeah,
I went to go see Project Hail Mary in theaters. It was I was trying to think of the last time I saw a movie in theaters, and I think it was Avengers Endgame. And
yeah,
I broke that streak to go see Project Hail Mary in theaters.
There just hasn't been a whole lot of really good movies that have wanted me to that I've wanted to go see. I think the last one I saw before this one was Maverick.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick. That one was really good. I actually went to go see that with my dad. And he does not go to movie theaters. I think in my entire life, I've seen him go to 2 movies, and that was one of them. So that was a lot of fun. He's a pilot, and he loves Top Gun. So
Top Gun was appropriate.
Top Gun was appropriate. It was something that he was actually interested in. So, but yeah, other than that, I'll have one more podcast with you, and then I will be on vacation after this one.
Woohoo!
So
we'll find someone to replace you, at least for a little while, unless you don't come back. Maybe you like Japan. Decide to stay.
Well, what's funny is my old boss at my old job moved to Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I might try to see if I can hit him up and say hi. But I just thought that was kind of funny that he moved out there. And I found out just through happenstance. I was thinking about him the other a couple weeks ago, and I reached out, and he didn't text me back immediately, and then he texted me back like at midnight or like early in the morning, something like that, because he was on the other side of the world. He's like, yeah, I'm in Japan now. I live in Japan. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that'd be cool. What about you? Anything else? I've been talking for a minute. You got anything else?
So, like I said, Audacity's been a little bit busy lately. Between Friday and today, I shipped $8,000 worth of parts, which was kind of cool, especially that it was a weekend. That wasn't my goal, but it happened. To do it all on the weekend, I mean. Friday, my shop was like Grand Central Station. I had all kinds of people coming in and out. But fortunately, I had my intern, and we call him Tall Jacob, by the way. We have Tall Jacob and Average Jacob. And having Tall Jacob there was huge because I had a rush job come up, classic Audacity Micro job of precision plastic rings. They were about 3.5 inches ish in diameter, and they had a plus or minus 30 micron tolerance on the diameter. Excuse the mixing of measurements there. And I needed 10 of them. Normally on those rings, I do them salami slice. But in this case, a chunk of PEEK that's that diameter is like super expensive, thousands of dollars. So I did them Superglue method, and there was 10 of them. And we worked out a pretty good process where we were able to keep the Tormach warm basically all the time, and they were coming out dead consistent.
That's awesome.
But the Superglue method is not fast.
No.
This job had plenty of margin in it. So it's fine that we were able to do it slowly. But with the amount of things that I had going on in the shop, I would not have been able to get those done without Tall Jacob. And fortunately, even though they were fairly difficult parts because of the precision and the floppiness of the material, Tall Jacob was able to get them done with very little extra help. So that was huge.
Have you looked into or considered getting a vacuum system of some kind?
Yes, but 99% of my parts, it just won't work. So these parts, they were 4 inches in diameter, but they had maybe half of a square inch of surface area. I could check in Fusion, but you need the surface area.
Well, yeah, but can you do multiple parts in like a big sheet?
Well, still each part would, by the time it was done, have basically no surface area to vacuum on.
Are you doing these in one and done ops?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no op 2 on these.
Okay.
Because there'd be no way to hold them. They were too spindly. Or not, that's a strong word. But there would not be a good way to hold them.
Okay.
So, it was just a ring. It was a circle.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, everyone tells me to use vacuum, and then we do the math on the amount of square inchage, the surface area on the bottom of the part, and it's always less than like half an inch. And it's like, I'm not going to hold down this piece of PEEK with, a third of a pound of force or whatever it works out to. So yeah, I don't know. Good in theory, but not for the parts that I do a lot of the time.
I wonder if there is a double-sided sticky tape that is strong enough to do without doing the super glue.
Probably. But like, why? I mean, and for basically all of Friday, we averaged at like $400 or $500 an hour.
Well, I mean, because like if you don't have to wait for the super glue to dry, you can just double-sided sticky tape it down. And I wonder if someone could make like a sticky tape like that would work for
They
machining.
exist, I'm sure, but like, I don't know. Everyone hates my superglue method. There's one guy on YouTube who makes like attack videos about me using superglue method. Not even kidding.
Well, no,
but
my question to you is, I'm not attacking your super glue method. I'm asking what would it take for you to consider trying something different? Is what I'm trying to get at more than anything.
I mean, the first thing that comes into mind is a part that demands it.
What I'm saying is, like, if you had a double-sided tape that would work as well.
Yeah, sure, I would try it.
You try it.
Especially if I could use it with coolant. But that's one of the problems with normal double-sided tape. But I don't know. Like I said, we were doing fantastic in terms of dollars per hour, even with having to wait around for a bunch.
Yeah.
For that job, I wrote a new warm-up routine for my machine and found not one, but 2 bugs with PathPilot, which was fun. I still need to submit a ticket. Norman knows about that, but I need to submit a ticket to Tormach so they can get them fixed. The first one was that the program I wrote was an infinite loop, and Tormach does like the graphical simulation. And when your program is an infinite loop, it gets stuck in that simulation forever.
Interesting.
And it freezes up the controller until you reboot it. So if anyone wants a Tormach virus, I have one for you. It'll just lock up the machine. And I tried to get around that by putting in a optional stop, a block delete on the line that basically iterates the macro that loops forever. So my theory was that it would, like with block delete off, I can never keep track of which one's on and off. Anyway, in one mode, it would skip the line that increments the loop. And so they would run forever. And with it in the other mode, it would increment and it would just run 10 loops. And I thought that would be enough to make it work. And it turns out it was. If you had block delete off when you loaded the program, it would load normally. If you had it on, it would get stuck looping forever. And I almost left the program that way, but then I realized having a 50-50 chance of it turning off your controller was not very efficient. So I just changed the program to put a macro at the variable at the top so you could tell it how many loops you wanted it to run.
Did you want it to just run continuously if you weren't like needing the machine? Did you want it to run infinitely?
So basically what the program did was pretend to be the program that cut the rings. So it stayed at the same RPM and just kind of circled around the general area so that everything was like super, super thermally stable. And we would run that program when the super glue was curing. So we would, do all the glue stuff, put the glue on there, let it dry. And then while it was dry and run the warm-up program so it would not change size. And I was seeing consistencies of like to the 10th. Like it worked really, really well. So that worked. This is the second time I ran this job, and it still did pretty well the first time, but it was, I don't know, plus or minus a couple tenths. But we saw less variation this time. And then I made some parts that had some really deep slots that I showed you, but I can't show the peoples. I don't know if there's a whole lot to talk about in there. The only thing that was really kind of interesting is imagine the part like a pair of legs, and the way the order of operations went, I had to cut the slot between the 2 legs before flipping it over and finishing the backside. And so I 3D printed basically a plug that I hot glued in there so it wouldn't collapse when I clamped it and flipped it over. And that worked shockingly well. I'm trying to think of other parts. I did have, so when I had originally taken a job from Big Blue for intern to do. It was this like $200 Delrin job. It was a training job for intern. And then we got this other job that was, one, a rush job, and 2 paid way more. And so intern did the hard job with me on Friday. And then Saturday, I had to go back out to the shop and run the training job. So I don't know. That was, I don't want to say a waste of my time. Like, it was still profitable.
Yeah.
But I would not have taken that job as anything other than a training job.
Yeah. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Best laid plans.
Yeah.
Just trying to think if there's anything else going on. We're still hoping to get our power run soon. We were talking about that. So we've been putting off the 400 amp.
Like your upgrade? Yeah.
Yeah. We've been putting it off because, one, we found out we didn't need it as badly as we thought we did whenever we got the new lathe. I thought it was going to be right at the limit, and it is right at the limit, but we haven't noticed a problem yet. And that's because having all 5 machines running hasn't happened as much as I would like it to be. And so there's usually enough overhead that it's not a problem.
And your average current draw is going to be much less than the sum of your max current draw.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it hasn't been a big problem yet. And because of the winter, it's been cold, the ground's been cold. And so, our electrician is an older gentleman who's close to retirement, and he didn't really want to go out into the snow or into the cold. He wanted to wait till it warmed up, and we were kind of like, yeah, it's fine. It's not that big a deal. And so now that the weather's starting to warm up, we're probably going to get back on that and try to get it done, because we've already got all the permits and everything we need for it. So we need to get it done. So, especially if we're going to do an addition later this year.
Yeah. Let's see. In terms of subtract, well, okay, one more thing on Audacity. I had a news crew in here, kind of, sort of. Oh. It was for the local university as like for their newspaper, but it was kind of cool. The person who was doing the filming I was talking to, they might do some video editing for the YouTube channel, because we need to be able to do more videos, and Jacob's been busy with more important things.
I do have a PSA announcement.
Ooh.
Carbide is really high right now.
Yes, it is. I did sell my Carbide.
So if you are if you've been holding onto your Carbide for a while, I think Kennametal was up to around $52 a pound.
Yep.
So, and it was funny because I reached out to one of my local machine shops that I'm friends with, and I think I had a 5-gallon bucket that was about 1/5 full, and it was over 40 pounds of Carbide. And I reached out to this guy, and he had 2 5-gallon tubs full, plus a bunch of smaller containers. Plus, he had already given away a bunch to the school, to one of the local high schools, to he donated them used Carbide so that they could scrap it and get money. And so he would have had a whole bunch more. And I was like, hey, do you know what Carbide's at right now? And he's like, no. I was like, it's at over $52 a pound. He's like, what the heck? He's like, last time I checked, it was $9. So, yeah. So he's sitting on some real money right there. So he needs to get that sold.
But yeah, I had a less than I thought I did. When we talked, I thought I had 40 pounds. Turns out I'm bad at estimating. I had 25 pounds.
Oh, okay.
But I got $1,200 for that, which is about $48 a pound.
That's funny. You thought you had 40 pounds. I thought I didn't have 40 pounds.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know if I have 40 pounds of used Carbide laying around. Turns out I had, I think, 43 pounds.
Nice.
So
a lot of that, so that $1,200 is going to pay for a portion of a robot, which I don't think we've talked about in the podcast yet.
You're getting one?
I'm getting a robot.
You bought one?
I am going to pick one up in 2 days. On Wednesday, I'm leaving. I'm heading to Iowa.
Was this from that website, or was this a Facebook? Or
this was a Facebook Marketplace find.
A Facebook Marketplace find. Interesting.
Yep.
Do you want to share any details, or is this spoiler territory?
It's a UR5.
It's a UR5.
A little bit. It's old, but it doesn't have many hours on it. And the guy
That
was
is
like, just get it out of my shop. And I went, okay. So now I'm going to Iowa, which
man.
I now know is north of Missouri. Not to brag, but I know where Missouri is now.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that'll be fun to play with. I've ever since we've gotten our UR robot, like even though it's kind of a closed ecosystem because of VersaBuilt, like I really want to like get a UR robot or just some sort of a cobot just to play with because I feel like I could program it to do all kinds of fun things.
Yep. So my plan is to set it up to load one of my pneumatic Aroa pallets. I right now I have a order with or a cart built with Zendian or whatever it is for a whole bunch of little vices. So, I mean, with this robot, depending on how creative you get with shelving, I could easily do 60 plus pallets. I probably won't do that much. I have 15 traditional, but 15 little low profile self-centering vices, and then 15 soft jaw vices in my cart right now. I may change those ratios later. That's only, I don't know, it was like $1,200 or something. So for pretty cheaply, I should be able to be pallet loading here in the near future.
Yeah, that'll be good.
And, let it run overnight or whatever a little bit more.
Yeah.
Software is going to, of course, be the difficult thing because I will need some sort of like pallet management because I don't run 100 of the same part. What I want to be able to do is run 5 of part A and then 5 of part B and then 2 of part C and then 1 of part D. That's what I want to get set up.
So I'll give you some advice on how VersaBuilt does it. Because it's a really cool, simple system. They have a master program. And basically what it does is it calls up all the different palettes that you want to run as a sub program instead of as the main. And what it does is it reads a macro variable and the robot communicates and loads the variable into. So the robot will load in a macro variable and then the program will read it and it'll know which one's in the machine. And then when it's done, it'll send a signal to the robot telling it to come pick it up. And there's all sorts of different routines that you can build into that. Like the VersaBuilt has like the Vice wash program, a Vice load position. It has all these different sub programs, and the master program kind of controls it all. And the robot will just side load all the information, and then when it runs that program, it'll do all the stuff it needs to do in the right order. Is
the program controlling everything on the machine or on the robot?
So the robot is the master.
Okay.
It's the one that dictates everything. All it does is it loads up all the macro variables of like the different programs to run and what order and all that other stuff. And then it just hits cycle start. And then when that program goes, it goes and reads all those macro variables, knows what programs to run and in what order and how, and the sequencing of all that. And then when it's done, it says, I'm done. And then the robot takes back control and grabs everything, does everything it needs to do, loads in what tells the machine what programs it needs to run. But all the programs are loaded onto the controller already. You have to have them already on the controller and ready to go.
Yeah. So. I am not super sure of how that'll work yet with the Tormach. Now, with the Tormach, you do get access to be able to just write Python. And you can call Python programs from G-code. And that's about what I know. I figure worst case scenario, I'll have one master program on the Tormach that calls all the different subroutines, and then the subroutine will just be able to tell the robot what palette to load and when it's ready to swap.
Yeah, so you can have CNC machine control or robot controlled, and the VersaBuilt robot controls it, but you have a bunch of programs on the CNC machine that the robot pre-populates information into so the machine knows what to run next.
Yeah. I'll just have to play with that. I just don't even know enough yet to really figure out how I'm going to do it. I might have to get fairly deep into PathPilot. If you remember from, it's been like a year, I started working on a queue system where you could, it was a graphical interface that would run on like a Microsoft Surface or something, where you could order pallets around. And I already built the post that would not only post the program, but post a JSON file, a machine parsable file that the robot could then take and know what to do with.
And that's why having it robot controlled is usually easier than CNC controlled, because it's really hard to plan out which pallet's going to run and which pallet is done versus not done in a CNC controller without like doing some really complicated stuff, I feel like.
Yeah. My theory, no plan survives first contact with the robots. But my theory is that there will be a standalone program running somewhere else that will be pallet management, and both the machine and the robot will talk to that. That might be pie in the sky, but that is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. And to be fair, that is basically what VersaBuilt's doing. They have a computer that is running, that is controlling the robot and putting that information into the CNC machine, and it runs a web interface that you have to be connected to it locally to schedule and do all that other fun stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
So that's probably going to be the best method right there. But cool. Like after looking at it, like there's a lot to it, but it's not so much that I would be scared to try to make my own, like for fun.
You would be scared, or you would not be scared?
I wouldn't be scared. Like it's okay. like I understand enough of like what I'm seeing of like what's going on that like I understand all of the pieces of this puzzle. I could probably figure out how to put it together.
Yeah. And I have a Jacob at my disposal, both tall and average, to help with, the coding and stuff. We can bark up Norman's door and see if, like he knows all this stuff inside out. Like there's a lot of resources here.
Please tell me when you do average Jacob, you do average Jacob.
Well, there was a couple days where we called him short Jacob and he didn't appreciate that.
So now it's average Jacob.
Tall Jacob is really tall.
How tall is tall Jacob?
I'm pretty sure he was ducking when he walked through my shop door there the other day.
So like 6'5"?
He's very tall. Yeah. When we were doing our lean improvement time last time he was here, I was like, can you do the top of the mini split and clean the filter?
Yeah. Is he
I'm
like
not short, but it's a lot easier for him just to be like, okay.
Does he like walk up to like the Tormach mill and go, you need to clean the top of this thing?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sure he could.
Like he's like looking at the top of this going, oh, this needs to be cleaned.
Yeah.
That's got to be like a very annoying thing of being like so tall to like see all the top spaces and how nasty things are that people can't see normally. I've never thought about that before.
That's true though.
But like walking in and going, oh, that's dirty. Oh, that's dirty. Oh, that's funny.
Well, speaking of, I almost said things that are dirty, but yeah. Speaking of tall people, I'm sure we have some on our list of Patreons. Our Patreons all get access to our Discord, which is a really awesome community. They've started doing like group chats, group calls every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So where a bunch of machinists get together and get to talk. Unfortunately, Friday's a really terrible day, and I did not organize this. So if we want a day where me and Harrison can be there, it's probably not going to be Friday. We might sort that out at some point. But it's like a great community. It's taken on a life of its own. Today, I was like trying to find a place to post a picture of the silly thing that I found on Amazon. And I didn't want to interrupt someone else's conversation with my picture of this 4-headed, boring head Medusa thing. And like everyone was talking in all of the different channels. And so I just interrupted someone's conversation. So like it's a really actually active Discord community.
There's 2
A
people
very
in there right
positive
now.
one. People are helping each other out. We do our show notes in there if you want to see our show notes before they come out. So definitely sign up for the Patreon. You get access to that. If you don't want to pay, you can still get access to our weekly Q&A, which we'll do in a second here. You do that by joining the Patreon as a free member. You still have to have like a Patreon account, but you don't have to pay anything. And then you can take part in the weekly Q&A. And if you pay $10 a month or more, then we'll say your name and maybe pronounce it right. We are thinking about raising our dollar amount on reading the Patreons just because there's a lot of names to read. So I don't know. This is your year warning. All Patreon funds are going to go to IMTS for us, by the way. So we'll be doing a meetup at IMTS on Tuesday is what we decided.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday at indeterminate time at indeterminate booth. It's probably Tormach's.
Yeah.
So we haven't confirmed that with them, but just it's going to be Tormach.
So are they going to have a new machine for IMTS? Have we heard any inklings of something for that?
If I knew, I couldn't tell you.
I'll have to bug Norman.
Yeah, and he couldn't tell you. I genuinely don't know of anything. The last thing I knew of beforehand was the lathe, but the lathe has been released now. So
I want to see their little pro router. I think that's a cool little machine, like with the little tool changer and the little robot.
Yeah, I did get an email from Tormach today that was like, what was the exact wording on this email? I can't just type my email address into the search bar and have that work. It says, "Thank you for choosing Tormach for your recent machine purchase!" Exclamation point. We really appreciate your trust in us. And I was confused by that and thought they were sending me a machine. No, it turns out it's just because I bought whey oil from them.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like, this is a strange email to send to somebody buying whey oil, but I got excited for a second. Unless it wasn't because I bought whey oil and you guys, fine. Oh, also, did you know the Tormach alarm on their auto oiler is really, really loud? And if it goes off, your neighbor calls you and tells you that there's something wrong in your shop?
Well, I haven't had that happen, but I have had the alarm go off and needed a new pair of pants afterwards.
Yeah, we had to go off. So I also discovered that apparently the Tormach eats oil even when sitting with the e-stop off. And I also found out that the oiler that I got to replace mine that got zapped by lightning needed to be programmed. And so 1, it was feeding way too much oil. And then 2, I was just e-stopping my machine and not actually turning it off. And it was just pumping oil through the system.
Yeah.
So I have a very well lubricated Tormach, but also now I'm waiting on whey oil.
Yeah. So I remember it going off when I had my Tormach back in the day, and I was running something. I don't remember if I had my head in the machine or something, but I just remember that like it went off and started buzzing at the worst time, and and I needed a new pair of shorts afterwards. And I was freaking out trying to figure out like what this machine was doing.
On Friday, when my shop was Grand Central Station, I was running around. Tall Jacob was running parts. And then our neighbors decided to park a wood chipper right outside my shop door and start just chomping through logs. And the first time they did that, that scared me because I was in the other room and yeah, I went running out and Tall Jacob's eyes were all wide. And no, it's just them chomping up trees.
Ben, my employee Ben, has really squeaky shoes. And every once in a while, he'll be walking through the shop and he'll like
squeak.
Yeah, like you know how like your toe will just catch and it'll just squeak. And he's had that happen a couple times where I'm like got my head plastered to the machine. I'm watching a tool coming in, and all of a sudden I hear, and it's like, oh, okay, that was it.
Like when your end mill hits like a corner on a 2D, like an inside corner on a 2D contour, and it's close to the size of the diameter. Yeah,
yeah, and then like he squeaks like right then. It's like, don't do that. So, yeah, we've had a couple like that, and To be fair, I mean, it's happened to all of us in the shop. When you're focused in on a machine, like I remember one time, it was when Ben was just getting started. We were both plastered to a machine. It was running like one of his first or second programs he'd ever programmed all on his own. And Weston chose that time to throw a large piece of material into the recycle bin. And it was like a loud crash bang into the
Yeah.
into the bin, and both Ben and I jumped out of our skin for a second trying to figure out what was going on.
I have a distinct memory of watching some YouTube video. I don't remember what it was, but a machining video, and I was proving out a program, and in the video something happened, and it scared me, and I e-stopped my machine.
I I would be lying if that hasn't happened to me before.
But also Patreons.
Oh yeah,
So-
that's what we were doing. How did we get all the way? Man, that was a sidetrack to end all sidetracks right there, baby.
New Patreons, Joseph E. and Corey K. Thank you, guys. And then our Patreons include, but are not limited to, Joseph E., Brian B., Jacob S., Chris at CDS Plastics, John S., Alex H., Avery M., Chris B. at Puda Creek Precision, Josh at Leighton Machine, Millen Y., Devin C., Alex at Mill City Roasters. I still have my new espresso machine and no fancy coffee for it. Christian O., Stephen M., Horse Pulverizer Incorporated is the hardest name to say. Stephen M., Daniel R., James at Moultrie Made. I know I said that one twice. Ryan at Strato Manufacturing, Kyle at Kursk Machine, Devin at Sinister Machine Works, Greg at Frogtown Manufacturing, James N., Bennett Prickly Pear Prototypes, Cam S., Shep at Alderson Prototyping, Jacob at Zon and Precision, Jason S., Joshua H., Christian Z., Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z, 2Z Systems, Trey V., Alexander B., Scott Design the Everything, Jamie at JSpec Engineering, Chris at Zyke Precision, EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Thought Bomb Designs, and as ever, Jake Brownson. How many of you guys are going to be at IMTS, and how many of you guys, Patreons or not, are going to be at the meetup on Wednesday? Contact us somehow so we can find out.
And what type of gift ideas do we need to do as like our Patreon present? Like we did the coins that one year last
We
year.
have an idea. I just still haven't finished designing them or doing them yet.
Okay.
Subtract is going to make them.
Okay. I
I got to
help.
finish the design.
Well, you gotta let me know. I mean, not now, but like
We
need
told
to talk
you what it was.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you
I'll
liked
have
it. You thought it was great.
I'm sure I did.
You told me that I was the best co-host.
Yeah, I'm obviously not the best co-host because I have forgotten.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm not the best co-host because we did talk about this like 4 months ago. I think it may have been a Christmas present.
Oh, I think we did talk way back then. I wasn't thinking about that for IMTS.
From Joseph E. Wait, was he a new member? He was a new member. Thank you, Joseph E. Have you guys used honing bits in your CNC mills yet? I've seen some people post how amazing of surface finishes they get with them in their VMCs.
I have not. Cannot say that I have. I don't even know what honing bits are out there that you could use.
Yeah, I've never tried that. It would be cool.
The closest
I've always wanted to try like the burnishing stuff.
I was gonna say burnishing was the closest that I've come to like trying to find a tool to actually use. I haven't done any type of honing stuff. I mean, I've honed I've rebuilt an engine and honed the cylinders. That's the closest I've gotten to honing. So
I think I've done no honing. I've done some lapping outside the machine, but yeah. So you have used the burnishers in your machine?
no, we were looking at buying one to try it out on a part. And I don't think we didn't end up doing it because it wasn't needed. We ended up being able to make it work without it, but I really wanted to try it.
Yeah, there'd be some cool applications for it because it makes it harder, not just shinier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were looking at using it on a lathe to see how it do for tight tolerance features or a high surface finish.
OD or just ID?
OD.
Nice.
But we didn't end up needing it.
EJ, Nocturnal Welding. Have you guys played with Autodesk AI Assistant? I told it to make me dice, and it made a box with a plus sign on it. Lol.
I have not. I remember getting that update and seeing a whole bunch of message boxes, and I was in the middle of something, and I said, "Stop talking to me, woman. I need to work."
Yeah. I did basically the same thing without the misogyny. I'm telling your wife. I was like, I didn't realize that it would actually do things. I thought it was just like a help bot. Like, how do I do this thing? And then it would tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was listening to the Business of Machining or somewhere where I found that out while I was editing a part. And I tried to get it to just stick a point on the edge of a rectangle, and it would not do it. I could not convince it to stick a point on the edge of the rectangle. It was like trying to get me to give it coordinates of where I wanted the point. And I just wanted to put it on like the center of a line that was already there.
Gotcha.
So I bet it will be pretty good sometime, but it does not do it yet. It needs a whole lot of work. And I'm kind of astounded they released it in this state.
Unless it's to get information, unless all it needs now is training.
That's fair, which would not surprise me at all. And at some point, you just have to release something.
Yeah.
But because right now, I think it's worse than useless. But I think that'll change. And I think it'll be really useful eventually.
If it's one thing we've learned about this AI stuff is that it needs interaction to grow and learn and get better.
Yeah. So, and lots of data.
Yeah, lots and lots of data.
One of the things I am working on is quoting 2.0 for Subtract. That it'll just fix a lot of the problems that we have now. For example, one of the problems it'll fix, like right now, if we get a quote for where they want 10 pieces and 20 pieces of the same item, we basically have to start at the beginning to get the two different costs. So quoting 2.0 as one feature, we'll be able to just change the quantity and it will just fix itself. Stuff like that. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Because right now, SERP doesn't know like the difference between setup cost and machining time. Like it's all just kind of lumped. It also doesn't know how to do discounts with larger amounts of material. So all of that stuff is going to get baked into quoting 2.0 eventually here. And there's some things in quoting 1.0 that is very subjective, and that just needs to get out of there altogether. But the quoting 2.0 has a bunch of variables that need to be tuned to, give us accurate results. And I was looking at using some like machine learning, not like AI, but like kind of old school machine learning where you give it a whole bunch of already done quotes and it will play around with variables to see how close it can get to those.
Yeah.
So that'll be, I don't know. I'm so far behind in quoting 2.0. I should have been done with this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But it's one of those things that like I need serious, uninterrupted, just like thought and focus time. And it's not something that I can just tinker away with a little bit at a time between parts. Maybe someone else could. I bet, Jacob or whatever could, but I cannot work when deep thought like that. And I just have had 0 moments lately of actually having like a whole day to focus on a problem. So hopefully I get that at some point. I don't even have any time this week between parts I have scheduled and the traveling to get the robot.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
But when quoting 2.0 comes out, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Is it going to be right now you still have to submit everything through your website, right? Is there going to be any kind of like instant feedback or?
Yeah. So, I mean, technically people can email us too. We frown upon that, but there are customers that only work via email still. yeah, it will still be a human involved process. Full automation will be 3.0 plus.
Well, I know that, but like if I quote something on any of these other websites, I can see my quote on that website, and then if I want to reorder it or get it requote, I can just click a button. Like even if they're uploading the files, and even if a human has to do everything, can they see their stuff on the website? Like, is there a history of what they've ordered previously
Not
that they
yet.
can see, or like the status or anything like that? Like, is there any type of information like that, or is that going to be something that's down the line?
That probably won't come until 2027.
Okay.
By the end of 2026, we should have a vendor portal.
Okay.
But it actually, once the vendor portal is in, it'll be very easy to do a customer portal.
Yeah.
But right now, we don't have the architecture in place to be able to do a whole bunch of different user accounts with different permissions, so that like some people can log into the I'm a shop field and some people can log into the administrative.
Yeah.
And then the I'm a customer. That's just not in place yet. And we don't want any repeats of the Big Blue accidentally showing ITAR's parts to not ITAR's people, for example. So there's a lot of like very serious repercussions here. But yeah, we'll get there. We're slowly getting some automations built in. For example, before we were manually generating the like Stripe payment links that we use to accept payment from customers, that is now automated. We are, days or weeks away from automating emails and having good systems built in for that. I feel like we've been days or weeks away from that for months, but for realsies this time.
Any problems with Stripe recently, or is it going better?
At one point, Stripe shut us down for like a day or two to do another review, but they cleared that up that really fast.
Okay.
So I think like they freak out when we have sudden big increases in volume. And I mean, we've done that twice now and they freaked out twice, but our problems were basically solved with the first one.
Gotcha.
For those of you that don't remember, Stripe was holding 5 figures of money from us for like weeks because they couldn't verify our bank account. And the way we fixed it was by doing it in Edge instead of no, it wasn't even Edge. It was Internet Explorer instead of Chrome. And we ran in circles with their support for weeks. Like we got on calls with them. Like there were letters sent because they had a lot of our money at that point. And eventually we fixed it by getting in on logging in Internet Explorer and pressing the same button we'd been pressing in Chrome. We might have a channel in our Discord that's called Finances/We Hate Stripe. But it has been working very smoothly ever since. And I don't think there's a better platform, unfortunately. Not everyone can be McMaster Carr.
Mm-hmm.
What was I going to say? I screwed up a subtract job.
Uh-oh.
I 3D modeled it. And when I 3D modeled it, I mirror imaged it. So
I expect a reduction in pay.
Yeah, I deserve it. Average Jacob was mad at me. That's a interesting.
So like you modeled it mirrored, or you?
Yeah. So they sent us a drawing. I modeled it for the shop, and the way that this drawing was drawn was not too standard. And basically it was a donut with some holes in the side, like a flange ring kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they drew all of the holes as like the drawing, the holes were blind. They didn't go all the way through the part.
Mm-hmm.
And the view of the side of the donut, all of the holes were hidden lines. So they were like dashed lines.
Mm-hmm.
So and I just did that translation from the front of the donut to the back of the donut wrong. And so the parts came out mirrored. So a lucky vendor got paid to make the parts again. but mirrored this time. So it ends up being a pretty good job for them. But we lost money on that job, which is sad.
Which kind of brings up a whole other topic about like when you get prints and you get models and you have tolerance ranges that are not inside the range of the model. Have you had that happen?
No. What do you mean?
So someone will give you, say, a drawing with a print, and the print will say it's it's a 1/4 inch dowel hole, for example. But then they give it some tolerance on the print. And that tolerance will be like a -3, -1.5. And so it's modeled at a 1/4, but the tolerance range is a minus.
I have no problem with that. I understand why engineers do it. It's because they go look up Machinery's Handbook, and that's what Machinery's Handbook says.
Mm-hmm. But how do you handle it in your shop for like do you do a negative stock delete? Like with that, it could be a drill or a tap, but sometimes there's other features like a single wall or, external features. Like at some point, like an end mill is going to have to touch some of those and you're going off of the model. Do you adjust the model to be nominal or do you use stock to leave?
It would depend. If it was just a hole, I would use stock to leave. If it was like the whole outside of the model or whatever, I would probably just use the press pull tool in Fusion. Now, when I was modeling things for our shop, I would always we have a customer, they give us lots of parts, great customer. They just give us CAD models. And then this is who that customer was. If it's like that, I model it at nominal. Even if it's, 1/4 inch minus 1/10 minus 5/10 or whatever, I would still model it at nominal. But this class of error is, I think, particularly difficult to catch. I was talking to Jacob about this, and if someone sent me this model and they sent me the drawing, I would have never caught this mistake in a million years. And maybe that's just me. Jacob says that he would catch something like that, and that's probably true. But Jacob and I are very different people. And this is actually why Jacob and I work really well together, is because he would catch this kind of thing, and I would already be moving on to the next thing. But this class of error is just like the oops, I didn't see the thing, or, oops, I defaulted to the thing I normally do. And there's nothing physical that goes along with it. I don't know of any systems you could put in place other than just having somebody else review it. But in my experience, having someone else, having one engineer review something that another engineer did doesn't always work very well.
Mm-hmm.
Because the second engineer just assumes the first engineer did what they did for a reason. And it's really difficult to get into the full mindset. And I don't know, maybe this is just something that is particularly not my strength, and having someone else look over it is the way. But I just find this to be a really hard category of defect.
Well, for us, we have customers that we build the relationships with, and I have caught in a lot of mistakes. Even though this customer does a really good job of dimensioning and doing their prints pretty good, I have caught a lot of mistakes, and a lot of the time they're mistakes that you wouldn't be able to catch unless you knew about the family of parts. So it'd be like, I've made 30 of these in the last 3 years, but I haven't made any in the last 6 months. But I get one across my desk. I remember making it in the past, and this one's missing a feature or something. And so I will message them and be like, hey, I've seen this part come across my desk in various forms in the past. Does it need this? And usually it's like, someone left that out. And there would be no way to catch that without having that history.
On your end, yes. On the customer's end, no, you have a CAD model and you can look at your assembly and stuff.
Yes.
Or you 3D print a prototype.
Yeah. But
yeah.
But like, there's a lot of stuff that we've caught that's like that kind of stuff where, and like we've had some stuff where like they sent us an outdated print, or like, I don't know how much have you used a lot of SolidWorks?
Not recently. I did it like my first job out of school, but it's been a long time.
When I used to use SolidWorks on the regular, you could update a model and not open the print. And then like we would have an automation package that would come through and, open the prints and then create a PDF packet. And if that print hadn't been opened prior, things would either not move, or they would move and like dimensions would either get disconnected or deleted. And then, so like, I've seen a lot of errors like that where, they made it a change and they obviously didn't open up the print before they sent it to us to make it. So,
yeah. One thing we put in place so this doesn't happen again is if we are modeling something for the customer, which we don't do often, we're going to send the model back to the customer and be like, you approve this before we make it. That way, if we miss something and they miss something, like it's on them because they approved it. We also are going to get a little bit more adamant that the customers follow our processes. Like almost everything we've had go wrong on the administrative side is like this customer followed some weird, workaround and they didn't end up going through our normal process one way or another. And then, something gets forgotten or not done or done wrong or whatever because like it wasn't normal. And that was what this is. We always have a CAD model. And in this case, we just didn't have a CAD model. So I don't know. I hate this class of problem because the answer is, it do
depends.
better. Like the answer is pay more attention, and that just doesn't scale. And I don't know. Some people are better at it than others, and maybe the answer is just hire the right people and have the right people in the right seat. And I am not the right person to review CAD models because I'm far too dyslexic for it. And I don't know. Maybe that's fine, but we had this problem a lot at my first job where we were building these large custom air compressors. We called them blowers. They're technically a blower because it was under 15 psi, but they were like super high volume, and every single one was at least a little bit custom. We had some like kind of templates that we worked from, but it was kind of all configurations, and there's 400 different components that could be, one of 10 different things basically. So like, they were somewhat standardized, but they were also very custom. And it was really easy to like misordering something, or like, you like as designed, you have a, 1/4 inch NPT sensor going in a 1/2 inch NPT hole. And like, there's, a bill of materials that's 600 pieces long, making sure that everything got ordered, making sure that everything fits together. And then also you're trying to do like 3 of these a week. Making those mistakes was just super easy.
Yeah.
And guess what? We had a review process in place where this is probably why I hate this like idea of just passing it off to another engineer's review process, because it didn't work. There was just too many things and too much workload to catch the 1/4 inch sensor going into a 1/2 inch hole.
Do you know what this sounds like?
What was that?
You need AI to look at these prints and catch these mistakes.
So this is something I've played with a little bit. It was never going to evaluate the print. It was just going to look at the print and pull things like general tolerance notes and like, if there was somewhere with like a dimension with 4 digits instead of 3, it would flag that one for human review later. But Harrison is typing. 1, we never got that far. And 2, I don't know if we ever could have gotten it like drawing aware. Harrison has to go soon. I should probably get going soon too. So
what's the point of sending a message if I'm trying not to interrupt you?
You're doing great.
Never mind.
It killed my train of thought too. We were talking to a couple designers for Subtract because we need some major branding help.
Mm-hmm.
And in our meeting about branding, both Average, Jacob, and I showed up to the meeting wearing Nocturnal Welding shirts.
That's funny.
I'm sure the guy was like, wait, do you guys work for Subtract or Nocturnal Welding? Thank you, EJ, for providing my entire wardrobe.
One thing that is kind of cool is we gave a lot of our shirts to some of our customers, some merch shirts, and it seems like every time merch shirts. Every time I've gone to drop off parts, they've been wearing our shirts at their other place of business, and it's kind of funny.
My students, some of my DOC students genuinely thought that my business was Nocturnal Welding.
Oh, that's funny.
So, because I wear their shirts all the time when I'm working. Or EJ's shirts. So thank you, EJ. These ones even say Subtract underneath where they say Nocturnal Welding.
Yeah, which makes it even more confusing.
Yeah. And he literally sent me a box of like 7 shirts. And I have one to wear every day of the week. So I just have EJ wardrobe. When are we going to get like EJ hoodie and EJ athletic shorts? And who else can we milk for clothing so I don't have to spend money on it?
It's a good question. Did you ever get a shirt from us whenever you came and visited the shop?
Yes, it's too small for me.
Oh, did it shrink?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Because they do shrink a little bit. So
speaking of, we need to do weight update.
Oh,
so I have been like stuck at the same weight, and part of that is because I have not been dieting as closely as I was at the beginning. Actually, it's probably all of it. I think if I was more strict to my diet, I would actually still be losing weight. But I've been kind of bouncing around with the bottom being it's like 68.5. And I've hit like 68. I've hit 68.5 like 6 times and never gotten below it. So I might need to it might be time to reconsider how I'm doing things because it's been like a month.
I need to go to the gym again. I was just talking about that to some of my cousins.
It did get nice out finally, and so there's been a couple times where I've just gone and taken walks.
If I start going to the gym, though, I'm gonna have to get up at like 5 a.m. because I have no time I have no consistent time any other time except like super early in the morning.
I would love to go to the gym more, but my closest gym is like 25 minutes away. So even if I do 0 workout, if I just go to the gym, like high five the not cashier, but the person behind the desk and walk out, like it's already 50 minutes plus getting ready time, plus showering. Like, I don't know. I don't have 2 hours to spend at the gym or to dedicate to the gym, even though I probably should.
I got spoiled when I was in Tennessee in university. I did a year out there and they had some of the nicest gyms. And I always compare all the gyms I go to those out there. And I miss those gyms.
Yeah, they were so nice. Had a really nice one too. That was really close to me. Yeah, it was like just on the other side of the hill.
They had nice equipment, but the thing that was really nice is they had a pool and a hot tub, and so you'd go work out for a couple hours, and then you'd go jump in. You take a quick shower, and then you'd go jump in the pool or the hot tub, and there's no place around here that has anything like that. Like they have showers, like you can wash off in the showers, but like having being able to jump from like hot to cold right afterwards reduces fatigue so much.
That's interesting.
If you've never done hot cold after working out,
no.
Oh, it is amazing for like making sure that you are not as sore the next day.
Yeah, we have a YMCA that's pretty close. It's still like 20 minutes, and they at least have a pool. The problem is it's so packed all the time.
Yeah. This one wasn't packed at all. Like you'd go in there and there'd be, I don't know, 5 to 10 people at most. And so even though it was like a really nice gym and there was a lot of people didn't use the pool afterwards. They just work out and then leave.
Yeah.
So it was actually, the pool and the hot tub was actually very sparse most of the time. And it was really nice. I miss that a lot.
One problem I have with swimming for exercise, even though I do enjoy it and it's probably one of the better exercises, is I can't listen to podcasts or audiobooks.
They do have waterproof earphones for that kind of stuff.
I know. That's true. Ooh, I got a new phone. You see this? It does a party trick.
Is that like in remembrance of your old phone and how it died?
It is, yeah. Well, not one, but both of my last phones were squished in some manner. The first one rather dramatically by the Haas.
Yeah.
The second one less dramatically by the trunk of my car. So now I just got a phone that's designed to fold.
What is it?
It's a Fold 6.
Fold 6.
A Samsung Z Fold 6. So it's from 2024. So it's 2 years out of date now. But from day one I wanted a folding phone, and then I saw that they were like $2,500 and I went, nope. And like basically just recently folding phones have gotten old enough that like the good ones are relatively cheap. So
nice.
I spent probably triple of what I would have spent on another phone. I spent $600, but it was still reasonable, and I've always wanted one of these. Mm-hmm. So this is AJ living out his dream. The only problem is, like, because it's a folding phone, it's already a little bit thicker. Mm-hmm. And then I've always had my wallet on the back of my phone, and now it's like a really chunky boy. And you said you had to go like 25 minutes ago. So
thanks for hanging out with us on this episode of Taps and Patience. Please like, subscribe, tell a friend, a neighbor, a stranger, someone at the gas station. That's what we need to do this week. Is when you're filling up with gas, go talk to
some combos and then go share the good news of the podcast.
Share the good news of the podcast. And that way you don't have to talk about politics while you're at the pump. You can talk about a podcast instead. So, anyways, thanks, guys, and we will catch up with you later.
Taps and patience, our daily grind. In this machine shop, we'll always find joyous struggles, all intertwined. Taps and patience, one of a kind.
AJ was testing my patience there towards the end.
As Jamie would say, I went full autism there.
No, that's okay.
Don't get me started on trains. Sorry, I'm not making fun of autistic people. I'm making fun of Jamie's podcast. So go on.
Well, that's all right. I have a brother who loves trains. So. We make fun of him all the time. Anyways.
How often have you ended up talking about politics while pumping gas?
Are you kidding me? When gas prices go up, what do you think people talk about?
Who talks to people at the gas pump?
Oh, you aren't South. You aren't in the South as much as I am.
I think it's just that autism thing again.